How do you pay yourself if you are a new entrepreneur who has a sole proprietorship or single member LLC? Let's talk about it. What's up, guys? I'm Prince Donnell, the founder of Jumping Jack Tax, where we help online businesses thrive and also assist the everyday person to do more than survive. I want to talk about the topic that we all love, paying ourselves, right? We work hard, we put in the work, we grind, we sell our products, we sell our services, and we want to get paid. But it gets a little tricky when we're talking about getting paid from our business. So if you're somebody who's a sole proprietor or you have a single member LLC, we're going to talk about that today, and I'm going to make this as simple as possible for you. Let's start off and get straight into it. Number one, if you are a single member LLC, it's important for you to know that you are considered a disregarded entity to the IRS unless you elect to be taxed as a corporation. So if you are a disregarded entity, that means that you're going to be taxed the same as a sole proprietor. Even if you have an LLC, you're still taxed exactly the same as a sole proprietor. The only difference is with you having the LLC, you have asset protection with the LLC separating you from the business, but you're still being taxed exactly the same. Okay? So now that we understand that, let's move on into paying ourselves. How do I pay myself with having a single member LLC or being a sole proprietor? Well, the how is easy. All you're going to do when you open up that business account with your bank, you're going to get yourself some checks, and you can write yourself a check straight from your business account, deposit it into your personal account. Or if you want to save yourself some trees, which I love, then just make an electronic transfer from your business account and send it over to your personal account. That's the easy part of paying yourself. That's the how, okay? Because remember, you are a single member LLC or a sole proprietor. You are the business. You can easily pay yourself. Now, the how is pretty easy. The real question is, how much do I pay myself? That's the part that a lot of people have issues with, and that's where we need to get to. Now, before I even start talking about how much you need to pay yourself as an LLC, let's talk about this relationship between employee to entrepreneur. Now, if you just started your new business straight out of COVID, or you've had your business within the past three years or less, sometimes 5, like I'm still considered a new entrepreneur, believe it or not. Even as a tax professional, I'm still a new entrepreneur with my business. The thing is, as employees, we're used to getting paid every 2 weeks, right? We go ahead, we do work, we clock in, we clock out, we do it for 5 days, work 40 hours a week. At the end of 2 weeks, we get our 80 hours, we get our paycheck. We expect it on Friday early in the morning, right? But when you are an entrepreneur, you can put in all of the work, right? You can work more than 80 hours, by the way. Entrepreneurs work 100, 200 hours. Let me tell you, I work from 4 a.m. in the morning until 11 p.m. at night. I'm putting in a mass amount of hours every single week. I'm putting in a mass amount of hours over 2 weeks and over a month. But just because you put in that many hours as an entrepreneur does not mean that you can get paid by your business. Because your business, your LLC, your single member LLC simply may not have the funds to pay you because the business needs the funds in order to grow, in order to pay for operations. So it's important to note that sometimes as an entrepreneur, you're not going to get paid. You are going to starve. You are going to have to make sacrifices. You are going to have to put the business first. You have taxes that you have to pay. You have operational expenses. You got to save some money. You got to put forth money into innovations, which I'll talk about in a second. But you have to, that's the first step to this here of how much to pay yourself. Get into the mindset of my business comes before me. And I got to make sure the business is healthy in order for it to grow so that I am able to make more money and pay myself more in the future. Okay, now that we have that out of the way and you understand that, let's talk about, before paying ourselves now, how much to pay ourselves. Let's talk about understanding profits. That's the first thing before we even talk about how much to pay ourselves. We have to understand the profits, okay? So here's what I want you to do. The first thing I want you to do is to look at your profit margins every 2 weeks. Or if you're not somebody that has a lot of volume happening right now, look at it every month. But get into the habit of doing it every 2 weeks. The same way that you were getting paid at your job, I want you to look at your business and look at the profits every 2 weeks. How do you understand your profits? Very, very simple. Let's say you have $5,000 in revenue that comes into your business, your single member LLC, or as a sole proprietor, you got $5,000 that came in. It costs you $2,000 in order to make the $5,000. It could be operations, your websites, ads, advertisements. You could have product cost, paying people, whatever it may be. You have $2,000 in expenses. So now we do some basic math here. $5,000 in revenue, $2,000 in expenses. That means that you now have somewhere between a gross profit of $3,000. Okay? That's basic math. Now that you have $3,000 in profit, that's the money that you're actually playing with when it comes to thinking about what to pay yourself now. But we're not paying ourselves that $3,000 because we got more work we got to do here. Now that we're down to that $3,000 in profit, that was the first thing you did, and you should be doing that every 2 weeks or every month, or if your business has a lot of volume, every week, and some people got to do it every day depending upon how much money you're making, right? You want to stay on top of your numbers. So now that I understand that, okay, I have $3,000. I'm going to write that down here. All right, Don has $3,000 in profit. See? So I got my board here, $3,000 in profit. Okay. Now that I have $3,000 in profit, I'm not going to pay myself $3,000 in profit because remember I told y'all earlier, the business comes first. So there are certain things that you're going to have to allocate to that $3,000. Now, the first thing that you're going to have to allocate to that $3,000 is taxes. Okay? You got to pay taxes on those profits, on that $3,000 that you made. So here's how you calculate your taxes. Very simple. This is going to be a rough estimate. These are not accurate numbers, okay? Here's how you do that. Now, number one, since you are a disregarded entity as a single member LLC, and like I said, you're being taxed the same way that you are if you were a sole proprietor, you're going to be paying self-employment tax, okay? That's also called SE tax. Since you're not paying payroll taxes because you're not considered an employee to the business, then the IRS charges you self-employment tax. That self-employment tax is 15.3%. You pay that on all the profits that you earned from your business when it passes through to your Schedule C. All right, 15.3%. Now, that's not the only tax that you got to pay, right? Because the IRS got all these different taxes that we got to pay here as entrepreneurs. So we pay our self-employment tax of 15.3, but you also have to pay federal taxes based on your tax bracket. So I'm just going to say that my tax bracket is 22%. Okay, so if my tax bracket is 22%, I also have to pay 22% here. So now if I were to do some rough estimates here, I got to pay 22% in federal, 15.3% in self-employment tax. That's roughly 38% in taxes that I have to pay. Okay, roughly. Remember, you can also get deductions and credits that can bring down your taxable income. I'm just doing a rough estimate, 38% in taxes that you're going to have to allocate from that $3,000, and you're going to have to put that to the side because you need to be making your payments, your tax payments quarterly. So now I got to pay 38% in taxes on that $3,000. Okay, we got that. That's the first thing that I need to allocate. So I'm going to set myself up with a bank account. I'm going to set myself up with a separate bank account just for taxes. And every 2 weeks when I earn a profit, I'm going to take that percentage, that self-employment tax, and whatever that percentage is of my tax bracket, and if it comes out to be roughly 38%, I'm going to take 38% of that $3,000 and I'm going to put that right into that tax account. I'm not going to touch it. And from there, I have the ability of paying my taxes quarterly, and then obviously when January comes and I go ahead and I got to file my taxes, I don't have a deficit. I don't got a huge bill. So that's the first allocation, is taxes. Now, the second allocation that you have to do as well is operations, operational expenses, okay? You have operational expenses in order to run your business, okay? From, like I said, your website, you got ads, you got people you got to pay, product costs, all different, or as a service, whatever it may be, You have operational expenses. So let's say that your operational expenses are 15%, right? Rough estimate, again, this is just an example. This is not your business. Your numbers could be different. So I'm going to say the operational expenses are 15% here. I got to account for those, and I'm going to set up a separate bank account just for operational expenses so that all of my bills in order to run the business are coming straight out of that account. Okay, makes it so much easier for you when you are doing your bookkeeping, right? And you're doing your numbers at the end of the month. You don't got all of this stuff going out of one account. You have separate accounts for this stuff. It makes things so much easier. This is what I do. It eases your mind. Now you got your taxes. You have your tax account. You have your operations account. And then number 3, you're going to have your savings. Okay? Now I would suggest that out of all of your profits, you save about 10%. Why? Well, because we just went through COVID and a lot of businesses didn't make it. You know why they didn't make it? They weren't sitting on any cash. Let me tell you, cash is king. And when you're sitting on cash, you're able to float during those times of COVID where people took huge hits to their businesses and their sales. So you want to be saving 10% out of all of your profits to ensure that your business doesn't shut down if something catastrophic happens. Just my suggestion. So we're saving 10%. And then the last one, which is my favorite, is innovation. You have to account for innovation. And I'm going to say, let's say innovation is 7%. So you want to take 7% of those profits out of that 3,000. You want to apply that to innovation. That gives you the ability of being able to make investments into growing the business, okay? You might want to buy something new. You want to get some new cameras. You want to get this and this. You have your innovation bank account that you've been putting together so that you can actually make those purchases or make those investments into innovation. That's not touching your savings account, because your savings account is the what ifs of COVID, where you need to actually survive with that money in savings. So you're not going to use that to invest. You're going to keep that there, okay? And then after taxes, after operations, after savings, after innovations, now you have number 5. Guess what number 5 is? Paying yourself with whatever is left. So now it's time to pay yourself after making all of these allocations from that $3,000 in profit that you came down to when looking at your books and analyzing the revenue minus the expenses. Now that I'm done with that allocation, right? I know I got to pay taxes, which is self-employment tax and federal tax, which is roughly 38% based off of my example, which means that you need to put $1,140 into your tax bank account. You want to leave that there. And then I have my operational expenses, which are about 15% roughly based on my example. So you're going to put $450 into your operational expenses account. And then you have your savings, which I put 10%, which is going to be $300 out of 3,000. So I'm going to put that into my savings account. And then I have my innovation account, which is going to be 7%. So that's about $210. And I'm going to take that $210 and put that into my innovation account, which now leaves me with how much left that I can get paid. And I'm going to be able to pay myself $900. And that means that you're left with 30%. You had to pay 70% out of that profit to ensure that the business got paid first and that it handled all of its responsibilities, and you were left with 30% out of that profit in order to pay yourself. Hey, listen, that's not bad. And I want to just go back to it again. When you're an entrepreneur, this example is not always going to be the case. You're going to have highs, you're going to have lows, you're going to have so much volatility in your business and in your revenue and your profits that this is an ideal situation when you're within your first year, 2 years, right? And congratulations if you are generating profit to be able to pay yourself right now. So this is an example of how to pay yourself and what do you need to be thinking about, how you should be allocating your profits to get down to how much to actually pay yourself as a single member LLC, as a sole proprietor. Now, we'll end it off by saying this. You want to keep really good records of every time that you make a distribution. So each time that you pay yourself from your LLC, you are making a distribution, a member distribution. When you make that distribution, you want to make sure that you have great record keeping of all your distributions. You want to make sure you have good record keeping of all of your expenses, okay? Making sure that you have some type of bookkeeping software established so that you can keep track of all of your expenses, all of your distributions. So it makes it easy during tax time for your financial professional to be able to help you. So that, my friends, is how you pay yourself out of a single member LLC. And that is how much that you should be paying yourself in the simple system that you should get down to in order to find that number. And like I said, that number is always going to change. And last thing, I'll end it off with this because I know that this will most likely be a question. Well, Don, if I'm paying myself out of my single member LLC and I'm writing a check from my LLC to myself, am I paying tax? Is my LLC paying taxes? And am I paying taxes? No, you're not. Because the company is not being taxed, and then you are not being taxed. You are the business. Remember, as a disregarded entity, you are considered a sole proprietor. So you're the business. All of your profits are going to flow through to you on your Schedule C of your 1040. So you're only going to be taxed one time, and you're going to be taxed on all of those profits. So whether you took $1 out of your business account or not, let's say you didn't take any money out of your business account, you didn't pay yourself, regardless of the fact, whatever those profits were, regardless of if you paid yourself or not, you're still going to pay taxes on all of those profits anyway, okay? Because all the profits flow through you as a pass-through entity. So you're not being taxed twice. You're not being double taxed. You're only being taxed one time, which is going to be your self-employment tax plus your federal taxes and possibly and state taxes as well. Could be local too. And in later videos, we'll start talking about how sometimes it's better to now elect to be taxed as an S corp, which could save you a lot of money in self-employment taxes, because being a disregarded entity as an LLC is not actually saving you any taxes because you graduated from sole proprietorship to single member LLC. That doesn't save you any taxes. It's just asset allocation. It's just asset protection. I'm sorry. So that's basically the strategy here. Hope you guys found value from this. Please please subscribe on YouTube. If you want more tax and financial tips, you can text tax help to 474747. Let me just double check to ensure that is the right number, because I actually just set this up for you guys. Yes. So you want to text tax help, TAXHELP, to 474747. And I'll be able to communicate back and forth with you to provide you with tax videos, templates, all different things to assist you with your business. But again, like, comment, subscribe, share this with an entrepreneur, tag an entrepreneur, so that you guys can get the help that you need in order to allow your businesses to thrive, and also for the everyday person, for you to do more than survive. Again, I'm Prince Donnell, the founder of Jumping Jack Tax, one of the fastest growing virtual tax preparation companies in the country. Appreciate you for being here. We're out. See you next time.